What happens when love is twisted and silence becomes a family tradition? When protection is given to the predator and the victim is asked to move on. This isn't just a biblical story adapted from 2 Samuel chapter 13. It's real, modern, and far too common. Today, we're stepping into the life of a young woman who was betrayed, not just by her brother, but by her entire culture. This is the story of Tamar, retold for our time. Let it shake you. Let it heal you. Let it wake us up. Tamar lived in a grand house, but grand doesn't always mean safe. Her father, Mr. King, was known for his reputation. He was a high judge, often featured in the news, speaking at charity events, seated in round tables with politicians and CEOs. People came to him for wisdom. They called him a man of the law. But Tamar knew him simply as father, a man who ruled over his household like he did his courtroom, strict, controlled, and emotionally distant. Tamar was raised to carry her family's image like a delicate porcelain plate. One crack, and everything shattered. From a young age, she was taught to walk upright, speak softly, never raise her voice. Good girls don't make noise. Her mother, the third wife in a long line of unions, would remind her, "You are your father's daughter. That is your shield and your silence." She went to the best schools. She never lacked clothes or comforts, but emotional connection, affirmation, boundaries. Those were foreign languages in the King household. The family dynamic was complex. Multiple wives, half-siblings from different mothers. There were unspoken tensions, alliances, and silent rivalries. But Tamar tried to keep peace. She was the glue no one saw, the calm between tempests. What no one noticed was how she was trained to be agreeable, accommodating, and afraid of causing discomfort. Her intuition was often dismissed. "You're being dramatic. It's not that deep. Be grateful you have a good life." So she learned to silence her gut feelings. When a man made her uneasy, she smiled instead of stepping back. When a conversation crossed the line, she found ways to justify it. She was trained to distrust her inner alarm and obey appearances. Tamar didn't grow up in poverty. She grew up in performance. She learned how to curtsy in the presence of danger. And that's what made her vulnerable. Because when danger finally knocked with a familiar face, she didn't scream. She served soup. Amnon's attention was subtle at first. He liked her music. He complimented her clothes. He lingered in hallways. "You're so different from the other girls," he'd say. It felt odd, but flattering. She told herself not to overthink it. After all, weren't girls raised to be pleasant? To accept praise with a smile? Still, her stomach often knotted when he looked too long. But who could she tell? What would she even say? Her mother had warned her about strangers, but never about family. And so, Tamar smiled back. One day, a message came. Amnon was sick. He asked for her to make his favorite meal and sit with him. Her father approved. "You're his sister. Take care of him." Tamar saw this as an act of love and duty. She braided her hair, wore a modest outfit, and packed her ingredients. She prayed for his healing on the way. What she didn't know was that the sickness was not in Amnon's body. It was in his heart. The house was quiet. No staff. Just Amnon in a dim room. He smiled weakly, thanked her, and asked her to feed him. She obliged. Then his hand caught hers. "Stay," he said. Tamar stood to leave. "I'll check on you tomorrow." But Amnon's tone changed. His eyes sharpened. "No, stay now." He blocked the door. Her heart pounded. "This isn't right. Don't act like you didn't know," he said. And then her no was silenced. Her scream swallowed by luxury walls. Her dignity ripped, not just from her body, but from her future. Tamar fled, her beautiful robe now torn. In their culture, that robe was a symbol of purity. To tear it was to declare ruin. But no one followed her. No one asked. She ran to Absalom, her full brother. He saw her, disheveled, shaking, bleeding trust. His jaw clenched. "Was it Amnon?" She nodded. "Keep quiet," he said. "He is still your brother." Tamar collapsed on the floor. Her pain, real. Her voice, dismissed. Her brother chose silence over scandal. And so, Tamar sat in ashes while Amnon went to dinner parties. Mr. King was furious when he heard. But fury did not become action. He did nothing. Why? Because Amnon was the firstborn, the heir, the golden boy. In powerful families, silence often hides the shame. But what about the shame of Tamar's soul? Time passed. Festivals came and went. Tamar was never seen again. People whispered. Some said she was troubled. Others called her too sensitive. Some even blamed her. She must have led him on. Tamar became the girl parents warned their sons about, not because of what happened to her, but because she dared not to smile anymore. Absalom grew bitter. 2 years later, he took matters into his own hands and had Amnon killed. But this was not justice. It was vengeance. Tamar was not consulted. She was still voiceless in the equation of male pride and legacy. How many girls are like Tamar today? Whispers behind closed doors. Uncles who accidentally brush too close. Brothers whose misbehavior is covered. Religious leaders who preach forgiveness but ignore justice. We are a culture of silent living rooms and loud pulpits. A world where girls must prove trauma, while boys are told boys will be boys. Tamar disappeared from the public eye, but not from her own story. In the early days after the assault, she barely spoke. Sleep became a stranger. Her body was in the room, but her soul hovered far above, watching, detached, empty. She lived in her brother Absalom's house, but it wasn't home. He provided her with protection, but not presence. His comfort was political, not personal. He never asked her what she needed. He never said, "I'm sorry." His version of love was vengeance, and vengeance is a cold healer. Tamar would sit by the window for hours, staring at nothing. Birds would fly by, singing. Children would run past laughing. Life continued, but hers was paused. In the silence, she began journaling. At first, only one word repeated across the pages. Why? Why me? Why him? Why didn't they believe me? Why did my father stay silent? The questions were prayers, raw, angry, unfiltered. She wasn't sure if God was listening. But writing them gave her breath again. Slowly she picked up her old guitar. The strings hurt her fingers at first, like touching something holy after feeling unworthy for so long. But she played soft melodies, lamentations, long notes that held her grief. She read stories of other women who had suffered in silence. She recognized herself in them, in their letters, in their songs, in their survival. One day she saw a younger girl in her village crying behind a market stall. Tamar approached gently. The girl had been through something similar. Tamar didn't counsel her. She didn't give advice. She sat beside her, held her hand, let her cry, and whispered, "I know." That moment unlocked something sacred. Tamar began volunteering at quiet women's circles. She spoke, not of the event, but of the aftermath. The silent pain, the shame, the gaslighting, the healing. She never named Amnon. She didn't have to. Her presence gave others permission to speak their own names. Healing didn't come in one dramatic act. It was the 1,000 small acts of choosing herself again, one breath at a time, one song at a time, one boundary at a time. Tamar's healing was not loud. It was not broadcasted. It was holy, hidden, and her own. Tamar's name was never spoken again in scripture, but today we speak it, not as a warning, but as a banner. She is not just a story of sorrow, but a symbol of strength. She didn't choose silence. Silence was chosen for her, but we can choose to break it. We can honor her by refusing to protect the wrong people, by believing the broken, by building homes and churches and cultures that protect the vulnerable. If you've been Tamar, violated, abandoned, unheard, know this: you are not forgotten. You are not ruined. You are not what happened to you. Healing is slow, but it's possible. You can rewrite your story. You can be heard. You can be held. And yes, you can rise again. And to the ones who watched it happen and stayed quiet, it's not too late to speak, protect, apologize, stand up. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror. What will you do with it? You may not be Tamar, but maybe your daughter is, your niece, your friend, or maybe you are. If you're carrying trauma, shame, or confusion, if no one believed you and you're still trying to believe in yourself, there's help. My Reclaim, your life coaching program, is designed to walk with you from pain to purpose, silence to strength. Visit the link below to schedule your private session. We don't fix people. We listen, we guide, we empower. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Leave a comment. Say her name, Tamar. And subscribe for more stories that bring truth to light and healing to hearts.